So let's continue. The four has obviously, been a really hype shoe, and there's been a lot of energy behind the four. I wouldn't say it surpassed the one. Let's not be confused here, but in many aspects, the Jordan 4 is almost or is actually on par with the Jordan 1 in terms of demand and in terms of excitement, in terms of what people are requesting. A few different ones came out. I definitely would classify or call out the Black Canvas 4, very similar to the Black Cement 4. But this one is obviously made out of a canvas. It came out late. Oh, well, it was supposed to come out late summer, I believe, and it ultimately came out in the fall. But this would definitely be one that created a lot of buzz, sold out everywhere, has still a really good resale value to it. So yeah, I would tell you that this would be probably the fourth out of the five, but I would tell you the crown jewel, and I will give you a number one shoe. It's probably no number one, not number one on anyone's list, but to me, it was far and away the best Nike Dunk that came out. And that would be the Jackie Robinson Dunk. So the detailing, the quality of this shoe was second to none. And if you know me, I am not a Dodgers fan in any way. I am a big, true and true San Francisco Giants fan and Toronto Blue Jays fan. So I don't like the Dodgers at all. Not whatsoever. But Jackie Robinson played for the Brooklyn Dodgers, more than 50 years ago, broke the color barrier, really gave opportunity to so many people. You look at in almost every sport, Jackie Robinson has made an impact or inspired people that essentially didn't have the opportunity to play sports and needed someone to be the one that kind of broke the color barrier. There technically were some people that did it first, but Jackie may be the one that did it best, or was the most impactful, and was really an elite level athlete, and really broke ground. So even you look in my bio, my personal bio on Instagram, there's a few people that truly inspire me. One would be Deion Sanders, two would be Nasir Jones, otherwise is the rapper Nas, and number three would be Jackie Robinson. So huge impact that he has had on me, and seeing the shoe is one thing, but this far and away is the best dunk that they made. In my opinion, the best Nike product that was made all of 2022. So definitely gets the nod for me. So let's flip over. Let's talk about some rhymes. We just got some sneaks in. So an interesting album year in albums and music. The market continues to shift when we talk about albums versus singles. There's so many singles that were put out this year, but no albums. But I think when we look at albums this year, there were some great ones. And what's really unique, excuse me, is we got one of the albums that I got on here, which would be Cheat Code, which is Danger Mouse and Black Thought coming together. A very unusual combination. We've had Buckshot and many guys in boot camp come together with Ninth Wonder, which I think was a great collaboration, and would love them to get back in the studio. I think we've talked about Nas and Hit Boy, and we'll get to Nas in a second because he's definitely on the list. But Cheat Code, and there's so many great tracks on this album. There's no way that this list could be even considered without Cheat Code being on it. So number two, I got JID, the Forever Story. Now, I didn't really get into JID until really late in the year. Like, I probably missed the release by at least a month, if not 2 months. And I listened to it, and it didn't hit. And then I listened to it again, and it was like, wow, this guy made an outstanding album. And yeah, that's definitely on my list as top 5 albums for the year. Then we also got Joey Badass. Joey Badass is always, put out great material. He is widely regarded and respected as one of the best, new cats that are on this, and he's really not that new. But you think of Generation and Peace like that, he's definitely one of those that is well recognized. And to his album 2000, which is the follow-up to his album 1999, is outstanding. There's great content, there's some fantastic production, definitely nailed on the list. So it gives you two more. So in some schools of thought, this this album, and I called him out last year. I called him out literally this time last year. Things that we needed in 22, and guess what? I wouldn't say Kendrick heard me. I'd like to believe in my fantasy world that Kendrick did hear me, but Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers came out, which is a long-awaited album for Kendrick Lamar. We haven't had anything from Kendrick in years. I think this is, Damn, which was the last album, and that was 5 years ago, if you can believe, which was the follow-up to Pimp to a Butterfly, and the Black Panther album, obviously, that he did. We got Good Kid, Mad City, which is arguably the best one. There's many debates on which is the best one. We did get that Untitled album in 2016. But we needed Mr. Morale, Big Stepper. This was a grown album. This was an album that talked about a lot of things that we deal with in life and in the world. But Kendrick delivered, and Kendrick rhyme style, talent as an MC, delivery, storytelling is like second to none. I could easily say that Kendrick Lamar was the MC of the year, bar none. And I don't know, as much as I'm a fan of Rakim and Nas and Kane and Kool G Rap, which I've taken in again, and just realize how incredible he is, but also how much influence he has. KRS-One, Black Thought, Raekwon and Ghostface, and you could go on. Redman, you could go on and on. Like Kendrick Lamar, and you can say Biggie, Jay-Z, Nas. I'm going to get in trouble for not mentioning Eminem, like not mentioning someone, Andre 3000, Q-Tip. But Kendrick Lamar deserves a seat at the table when we talk about best MCs and impact, particularly over this generation of rap fans and those that are involved in the hip hop culture. This is an outstanding project. Is it Pimp to a Butterfly, or Good Kid, Mad City? No. But do I think it's as good as Section 80? I think you need to continue to give it some time and see if it has that staying power. I think personally this is better than Damn, and I love Damn. So Kendrick, and I think when we think about Kendrick and his impact, I made the argument, this maybe need to be a whole different podcast, but I made the argument about Kendrick that Kendrick very well, and this is, contrary to popular opinion, and I'm one of the biggest Nas fans in my own mind, that I would say that is out there, period. But I think when you think about, if you were to take Kendrick and go album for album against any other MC, and if you take it an average, if you were to give it the old school source 5 mics, I don't think there's an MC that is better than Kendrick. I don't think Wu-Tang has produced or created album to this tier. Raekwon is not. Nas is not. Jay-Z is not. Biggie, he only had 2 albums, and you could make the case that, okay, well, Biggie had 2 albums, but they were 2 elite albums. That may be the only person that you could put in this category, but it's tough to compare Biggie to Kendrick, because Kendrick, and I'm a golden era head, but I'm defending Kendrick here. Kendrick has had 1, 2, if you count the Untitled, plus 6 projects, and they're 6 elite projects. Like, he did not miss. Throw in the Black Panther soundtrack, that's 7. He did not miss on any of them. Biggie had 2, and Biggie didn't miss. So are you going to take the guy that had 7 and continues to do it? When people think he's done, he takes off 5 years and comes back and gives you arguably the album of the year. So Kendrick is doing it on a level and a rhyme level that may be unparalleled to um anyone that's doing. Now at the same time, I don't know, and I would say from my personal experience, Kendrick's album is just not an album. I played it for months and I put it down, and I'm not dying to go and pick it up again. It's something that I just don't have not gravitated back. I know how good it is, but I have not gravitated to go back and play it again and again and again. And maybe if I play it again, I'm going to feel it. I'm going to the Bills game tomorrow against the Dolphins. Should be a ton of fun. Squish the fish. Hopefully the Bills win the Super Bowl for my pops, but I don't know if I would go back and play Kendrick. Maybe I'll play it just because I'm saying it tonight. So we shall see. But I would tell you that there's other albums that I would go back and reach. I would go back and reach Cheat Code. I would go back and play Joey Badass. I would go back and play JID as I've been playing it recently. And I would tell you now as I transition, my personal opinion, the best album, bar none, and the album you could go back and play again and again. And with the crew, you do it by yourself, you doing your workout, you trying to study. The album of the year, and it's not getting the credit that it deserves, is King's Disease 3. Hands down, in my opinion. Nas and Hip Way. It's hard to believe that Nas has literally had a career in the last 4 albums that most 99% of artists would have died to have. And he's done this. This is like his 3rd chapter of his career. And they've put out 4 amazing projects: King's Disease 1, 2, and 3, plus arguably the best album, which is Magic. I just got it today on vinyl. It's definitely going to go on my wall or in the studio, but it is phenomenal. And in many respects, it's the best album. And it was the surprise album that came out last year at Holiday. So after he already gave us an outstanding project in King Disease 2, nominated again for a Grammy, didn't win. We'll see what the Grammys look like this year, because easily Nas could have 2 albums in that category, and we'll see how it goes down. I think could be JID, or it could be Kendrick, because Kendrick has now come back, and 5 years is a long time, but it easily could be making his mark. So those are the albums. King's Disease is my winner of album of the year. I've seen a lot of other publications and what they've already done. King's Disease in some cases is not even being ranked in the top 5, which is absolutely ludicrous to me. So we'll have to see about that. So we know I love sports, and we know I love concerts. So not that I saw all these concerts, but I heard about them. I read about them. I saw clips about them. So let me give you 5 that either I wish I was at or I was at. And I can probably give you number 1 because I didn't see enough, but 5 hip hop concerts that really resonated with me. Number 1, and maybe could have been easily the funnest one that happened the year, it was OVO with obviously led by Drake again, and we finally got it cracking because of COVID, and that was amazing to see. But he had COVID, so it got canceled. Then it did happen, and then he did this Toronto All Stars one at his spot, and he brought out the Toronto Legends, which I thought was, he had Maestro there. I think Misha Me was there. Chaclair, Socrates. Pretty amazing to see that was what transpired. Obviously, Cardinal was in the house, so to have that almost kind of circle reunion, and that's still one of my favorite concerts that I ever saw, was the Circle show. And I know my boy Nick, that was one of the first shows that he ever saw. This is over 20 years ago, back in early 2000s when that happened. This is when Northern Touch was like the joint. But that was, again, memorable concert to remember. Number 2, didn't see it, hurt out it, and I wish I could go. I just at the point of where we were with COVID and my schedule, it did not work out. I don't know if I would have felt comfortable being in an indoor facility at the time this concert happened, but I absolutely love Freddie Gibbs. Freddie Gibbs, in my opinion, is one of the best MCs and best artists and put out the best projects in the last 5 to 6 years. Would have loved to have been at that show at Danforth Music Hall. So that's definitely a banger. That's on my list. Same with Conway. Conway also had an amazing show. Couldn't make it to that one. COVID was also happening. Didn't feel great about it. Schedule didn't line up, but I missed that one. Obviously, shortly after this Kendrick Lamar release, Kendrick did come through. Schedule, I was out of town at the time. I missed that one too. But the concert that I did see and had a fantastic time at was none other than probably the big show of the year, which was Nas and Wu-Tang coming together. And like in many respects, Wu-Tang is my favorite group outside Tribe Called Quest, and it's like a super group. And then obviously Nas is my favorite MC, and they were there. Now, hey, we didn't get everyone from Wu-Tang. We didn't get Method Man because he was busy acting, as he's had a budding career. He's this unbelievable gym rat right now, and he's doing some amazing things right now. But we had the whole clan. We had Jizza, we had U-God, we had Deck, we had ODB's son did all ODB stuff. We had Ghost, we had Ray. So they had the thing. I don't know if they just didn't have the energy, because in comparison to Nas, and Nas was absolutely phenomenal. I've seen Nas several times as of late, over the last, excluding COVID, like 6 or 7 years, and Nas just didn't deliver in some capacities, but he was razor sharp and totally on point. Told a great story, gave us some sprinkles of KD3, KD2, KD1, and obviously the classics from Illmatic and Stillmatic, and then obviously It Was Written as well is arguably his best album. In many people's regards, it's the best one between that and Illmatic. So it was an amazing show. Definitely was my show of the year. I didn't see many concerts, but that was the one, and I will remember. Looking forward to more concerts in 23, but had to call that one out specifically. So a couple other things that I got here. Sports moments. I don't know that if these are the 5 best sports moments, but these are some of the ones that really stick with me. So first and foremost, seeing the Argos win the Grey Cup in the way that they did, and seeing 2 block field goals happen in a matter of 3 minutes was one of the most riveting CFL games I've ever seen. So that one definitely made the list. The Argos haven't won in like 6 years. Readily counted out. They did do some great things in the regular season, found a way to get it done in the Eastern Conference Final, because last year they choked against their arch rivals, the Hamilton Tiger Cats. But Argos winning the Grey Cup, and they're the official Grey Cup champions, was a pretty special one for me. Obviously, we have just come off the World Cup, and the epic game between France and Argentina, maybe the best final we've ever seen, with now Messi finally putting the World Cup trophy in the trophy case and delivering. But you can't ignore what Maupay was able to do, and literally almost single-handedly carried France to the World Cup title in scoring 3 goals, including the goal in extra time to take it to penalties, and then scored in penalties. But the rest of the shooters kind of came up short, and Argentina won. So great on Argentina. Love to see a Lionel. People call him Leo. People say Lionel, but Mr. Messi got it done. It spells Lionel like my spell my name. So shout out to Messi for getting the dub. Obviously, there's the Brittany Griner piece that happened. Obviously seeing Sue Bird have to retire. But that would be kind of my 2-parter to retirement. So a lot of different things happen with a lot of different people, but 2 of the people that really stand out to me that now have walked away from the sport that they love is, one is Sue Bird, who played for the Seattle Storm, but second all is the greatest tennis player, I would say, man or woman, we've ever seen, which is Serena Williams. The dominance, the flair, the intensity, And like she's like the most decorated champion we have. So that would be definitely one for the books for myself. Obviously, the Rams winning the Super Bowl, and the Rams and changing coaches and adding Stafford was obviously a great story. Um, but a couple other ones that I got here is Ovi, kind of a low key one, but him getting to 800 goals, and he if he plays long enough, he can actually pass Gretzky for the most goals. I thought when I was 25 years old, there is never going to be someone that scores. I think when I was 35 years old, I said there's zero chance anyone's going to get. And then at 45 years old, I said, no one's getting there. But today, a few years later, and COVID is, we're hopefully coming out the end of COVID. You look at what the model of consistency that Ovechkin has been over literally the last 20 years, and the scoring titles and the 70 goal seasons. It is pretty remarkable that, people don't know that I do follow hockey. I played a lot of hockey, road hockey in particular, as a kid, and followed the sport religiously. Went to so many Leaf games. Like even the story that I was when the Jays won the first World Series, I wasn't even watching the game. I didn't watch 80% of the game because I was at a Leaf game. Leafs and Sharks, Maple Leaf Gardens. No one wanted to be at the game. Me and my boy Glenn Carter went to the game. We were sitting in gold. We had a great time, scraps, tons of scoring. And then we walked down to Skydome to ultimately take part of the viewing party that was happening in and around the stadiums. They were playing in Atlanta. The Jays got the win. People ran out. We ran to the Skydome. We were running all over the field, and then ultimately, multiple hours later, we joined the parade and walked from literally Young in front to Young and Eglinton. So pretty wild trip, but that's how championships happen, and that was like the first one, probably of my lifetime here in Toronto, outside the Argos, but the first memorable one. I was at least close to being of age. So that was definitely a moment for me to think about how Alexander Ovechkin has really achieved and done some amazing things over the span of multiple years. And he's got a shot at breaking Gretzky's record. It's crazy to believe. But I think one of the most touching moments that we saw in 22, and obviously, we're coming off the heels of what happened to Hamlin. Now Hamlin, I think, technically happened in 2023, the beginning of 23, and that obviously impacted a bunch of things that happened with the playoffs and so forth, because it happened, I think, on the 1st or the 2nd of January. But that's something I'm glad he's doing a lot better. But I think the moment that I'm referring to is Tiger Woods and his son Charlie playing in the Pro-Am, and the fun that they had, and the mannerisms, and how competitive Charlie is, and how much he's like his dad. And yeah, we know we give Tiger a bad rap for all the things that have happened, but it's pretty amazing how Charlie and how Charlie has adapted to the game of golf, but how good Charlie is. He's an amazing, amazing golf player. I think many people in many regards wish they were good as Charlie Woods. So hats off to the Woods family, and just the fun that they had playing together, and to see Tiger Woods, after everything that's happened, really have a smile on his face for many things was pretty awesome to see. We'll wrap up with the 5th topic, and that's kind of shocking moments. So there's a lot of things that happened in 22 that's shocking. And I'm not going to get into, hopefully many of the politics, because we could be here all day. There's stuff going on in Iran and so many other places of the world. I just don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but I'm going to talk to a couple of things that kind of more relate to this podcast and some of those pieces. So I gave you a shocking moment, which was the Argos winning the Grey Cup, but to see 2 block kicks in the span of 3 minutes was shocking to me. That's kind of light work. The other piece that I have on here is Antonio Brown absolutely going nuclear, taking off his equipment, throwing equipment into the stands, and literally quitting football on the spot was something to witness. And one of the most bizarre things we've ever seen in the world of sports. I think the maybe it's not a shock, but to see the sheer dominance of the Golden State Warriors and see how they have a whole nother crop of players. I don't know if that was a shocking moment, but it was amazing to see, just the changing of the guard in the NBA, the dynamic, and maybe that's the shocking moment is the dynamic ability of John Morant. Like, this guy jumps out of the gym. He must have a 45-inch vertical. He's put so many guys on posters. And it's maybe not a shock to the system, but the NBA is in great hands moving forward. How many people tried to count the Warriors out, and for seeing them to deliver, for Steph Curry not to get his credit. Easy could be one of the great moments of the year, but to see Klay Thompson back on the court, to see the piece that was Draymond Green, and him doing his podcast, and I even had to sample it, put it on. It's like, you're gonna get this podcast, whether you like it or not, whether you think it's a distraction or not, you're gonna get this podcast. So shout out to Draymond. But the whole Warriors piece in the NBA Finals was definitely a piece for me. But I think the two biggest shockers have to be the whole Kyrie piece with the anti-Semitic notions about posting about a movie that he had watched on Amazon, which is a streaming platform, and then the backlash, and then ultimately this cost him his contract with Nike because he wouldn't apologize. Like, just how that spiraled out of control is unbelievable. But nothing is more shocking than obviously what happened with Ye, aka Kanye West. Unbelievable and unreal what happened to him. And it's almost like he did it on purpose to get out of his Adidas deal. I would tell you, mark my words, the next 2 years, Kanye West comes with his own line and it takes off. I would never say that it's going to be as big as Adidas and Yeezy. That they had an amazing run from like 2016 to literally early 2022, 6-year run. But I will tell you that Kanye will come back and design and create something that will be, he's got a loyal for, like, easy. It was so easy to discard him, throw him in the garbage, say you're not going to follow. People still listen to his music. People still wear his Yeezys, and he's going to come back with something else. Now, how he acted, how he made people feel, I'm not condoning. I don't accept. It hurts my heart. I feel bad for all of the Jewish people that he's offended. Do I think he's a bad person by say? No, but I think he needs a lot of mental health. He's got mental health issues, and he needs help and support. But regardless of the fact how he's acting and how he's put stuff out there in the marketplace is not acceptable. For the people that are in his camp, they should be embarrassed for how they handle. He ultimately has to take responsibility for what, and I don't want to get too much into it, but how that totally went nuclear from Kanye, being worth $1 billion and like $500. Now he's lost, 70% of his net worth. He's like $500 million he's worth. So how that unfolded and how that went nuclear and how many people took sides on that one, it's pretty unreal. So thanks again for listening to my top five of 2022. Much appreciate the love and the support. Stay tuned for the merch, hats, t-shirts, hoodies, crew necks, maybe other couple joints. We'll have to see how it rolls, but Sneaks and Rhymes and Life, be trying to do things bigger and better in 2023. So much love. Thank you for all the support. You definitely can find us on Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts. This is getting loaded up into YouTube, so check it. Thank you for your time. Much appreciated. Enjoy your weekend. Go Bills. Hamlin, please recover. We love to see you. I'm anticipating there's a video message or he's showing up at the stadium tomorrow. So much prayers to him that he's doing better. This guy is he came out of his unconsciousness and saying, "Did we win the game?" It's unbelievable. This is a story. It's waiting for Disney or someone to write, but pretty amazing what has happened here. So all in all, spectacular, and I can't believe what's happened. But thanks again for all the support. Much love, and have a good night, everyone. Peace.